going? Cool. Welcome. This is supposed to be coming out on our 8th birthday, so it'll be coming out on this Sunday on the 1st. So, Micah and I today, we're going to just kind of tell the whole story of our business and kind of like, I don't know, just kind of walk through that. I feel like, you know, when you have lived it, you just feel like everyone knows what's going on, but I feel like most people don't have a very good idea of like the things we've gone through. You know, everyone has their whole unique story. I think guys is pretty interesting. So I think we just kind of like walk through our entire history as a business, just to kind of like celebrate 8 years of doing this thing.
And it's crazy. It's been 8 years, and like it's been longer than that since like Full Jam, like coming up on our 10th year this year, and so having it be 8 years of our own thing, it just seems like a long time.
Yeah,
a lot's happened, and like I was trying to think back, like when I knew that this was gonna happen, like man, like what did we go through, and like more stuff keeps coming up, so it was it's wild. Like there's so many stages and so many things that have happened that were, for the most part, really hard. It's been hard.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think anyone expects it to be easy, but
no.
If you do, you're dumb.
If you had known how hard it would have been, would you do it again?
No.
Yeah, I wouldn't have.
Like, I remember Michael's dad, Sid, like, when we were first kind of getting started.
Oh, yeah.
Was, like, kind of giving us that advice. He was like, I think you guys had, like, ignorance on your side of, like...
Yeah.
Because, like, the tools that we had, the assets that we had, like, knowing what it would be like, I feel like our risk assessment now would have been like, absolutely not. We're not doing that.
Way.
It's stupid.
It's a horrible idea.
It's a bad idea that's going to get us nowhere.
Yeah.
But just being young and not really having a good idea about it, like, almost blinded us to the fact.
Being naive helped.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, I don't think we ever would have gotten here if we...
I would for sure not.
If we knew everything.
Yeah, to do it again, like, I would not do it.
No,
not at all.
Right.
I'd do something very different. I would not be living here. I would
yeah, I mean, that's the only
probably
reason
be a lot happier.
Any of us live here. Yeah.
Man, like... I feel like most people watching this are gonna be like, see that we're in like a bit of a jaded space, or like, and it just, this is like a difficult time in both of our lives because of everything happening, and so this is just where we're at right now.
Yeah,
there are great, amazing things that's happening, and like we're so grateful.
I mean, like this
for
gym is giving
all
me
of it.
Like everything that I can attribute to like the positive in my life. Like it's it's given me everything I am as an athlete. It's given me everything as a community. Like all of my friends live here because of the gym. Yeah. So it's like all the things that are very, very easy to take for granted that we don't think about every single day. Yeah. This is like given us, which is like wonderful beyond all belief. But it's, obviously so easy to focus on like all the really bad stuff that it's like really hard to like think about.
We have to live it every day, and we have to be in it every day, and we have to like work at it every day, and it's like trying to change a tire on a car that's moving, and it's hard.
Yeah.
And like there's always things, and so I was thinking about like, wow, this would be a really depressing podcast because we both hate our lives at the moment. Yeah, but that's not necessarily true. It's just we're
just both really, really burnt out.
Yeah.
But we're taking a whole week off.
Yeah, so it's Thanksgiving break. Today's Monday of Thanksgiving.
I feel really good. In comparison to the last like 3 weeks a month, just having like that one day off yesterday that I did nothing.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm committing myself to nothing today at all. And didn't feel guilty about not getting work done and like nothing like that. I just was like got to be just like a stack of potatoes. Yeah. And it was great. And like just that alone obviously doesn't fix anything, but I feel a lot better today.
Yeah, and like we were like looking forward to this week for like when we scheduled it out, like what if we just are closed the whole week of Thanksgiving, and both of us got so excited. We're like, oh, we could do that? Like,
we're allowed to?
Yeah, like we can do that.
Yeah.
And so it's been a long time coming. Like when you're in it every day, it's just like and then you said like feeling guilty about not doing anything, because like it's not a thing that you can like, oh, I need a break from this. It's with you everywhere you go.
You don't clock out ever.
Yeah, and like you like, oh, like a week vacation in Costa Rica, that sounds so nice. It's like then the stress of like, oh shit, all the things that have to get done at the gym, or like have to think about like how to make them happen if I'm not there.
Well, it's
and
like,
then you're away and you're still
planning. It's future planning. Yeah. It's like not only am I not taking care of the things that have to happen now, it's like I'm not taking care of the things that need to happen 2 weeks from now, 1 month from now. Like, you know?
So it's hard to like, and so yeah, I mean, like that's been a big mission for my week this week, is to give myself permission to not go into the gym, even though we're at the gym currently. Yeah. not do work on the gym, even though we took 2 sales calls today.
Yeah.
And answered the phone. Yeah.
I
but
mean, like,
for the rest of the week,
technically you can even see this as doing work, but it's like it's its own thing. Like, whatever.
Yeah. This is like more of like why we want to do this.
Right. You know, it's like we are trying to be creative in this space and industry.
Yeah.
And like this is just like gonna be one of those avenues. But
yeah.
Oh man.
There's so much we want to do, and so much that like there's so much room to grow in this industry, and that's so exciting, and it's like such a big opportunity that we're fortunate to be like on the ground floor of, to an extent.
Yeah.
Like we were early to the gym owning game, we're early to like a lot of the things, and we've seen a lot, and we've been in it a lot, and we've been in it so much, almost to like a deficit, because there's so much creative things that we want to be doing, that the everyday doing of it all, things got pushed to the wayside. Like the amount of years we've been talking about like doing a podcast, like the years we've been talking about like all these other things, and like it just takes a while to implement it all,
things you want to do,
because of like all the other things you gotta do to make it all happen. So backstory, right?
Like the I guess the whole thing is like, you know, back when we first had it started, would we have like done it again? And like I really both feel like we definitely wouldn't. But I kind of feel like if we were in a similar situation where we didn't have we were like the same issues were confronting us, because like, you know, I got into parkour 11 years ago, and then started training with my friends, and then winter hits, and you're like, cool, we're done. Like today it snowed multiple inches outside. Like, am I going training? Yeah. And so it's like, well, am I just going to quit parkour for 6 months, or like, do I try to find a workaround? And the obvious thing is like find an indoor facility. Mm-hmm. Now those don't exist. What's the next best thing? A gymnastics gym, right? Yeah. Like that's the next closest thing that kind of like scratches that itch. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, we ended up getting a class set up at Missoula Gymnastics, and that's how Micah and I actually met to begin with. We ended up, you know, having that class for, it's shorter than I ever thought it was.
Well, I moved there in 2009, and then there was things happening.
That was already happening.
It was already happening. Yeah, like there was like parkour jams. Mm-hmm. I remember that.
We had a once monthly like open gym.
Like an urban jam. Like it was called Urban. Was a class.
Because
that's what they
called it. Couldn't be
called parkour. Yeah. And then so I was coaching that. I had like just recently found out what parkour was. I didn't know what it was, like what Kongs were called or things like that. But I was a gymnast, but like I went to gymnastics to learn how to do these types of flips.
Right.
And then like I saw it on, so I was like, I would spend my time like, you know, my coaches would be upset as I'd be doing like wall flips and like trying to have fun with movement, because like that's what I was interested in. And they're like, no, you should get good at pommel bars. I'm like, but it's boring and I suck at it. And they're like, no, you should, you know, it's like, anyways. So like I saw a YouTube video of some people in a gym doing other things, and then like I saw like Livewire, like Tim Sheaf like doing stuff, and I was like, oh wow, and Damien Walters, and that was like new on the YouTube. Yeah. And like that's when YouTube was like, I was new, like just discovering it for the first time or whatever. I was like, oh, this is the thing I always was doing or wanted to do. And so right when I moved to Missoula, like that class was happening and I was coaching it. Mm-hmm. That's where I met you and Michael and Amazai and Zane and like the original crew of people. And there were some people from like Corey from Butte and his kids would come up for those monthly jams. And like you didn't know how to do backflip. You couldn't, like you could do Kongs, you could do jumps. And I saw jumps of like, oh, I'm going to hurt my ankles. I moved to Missoula on crutches. Like just like got done with surgery on my ankle. And so I was like, yeah, parkour is cool, but I'm in like to the flipping things and like the jumping stuff looks like it would hurt. And like, it's just funny how like my perception of all of it has changed.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It's like those like your styles and what you're interested in just like changes over time. Yeah. Especially the movement.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we had that class there. And then eventually like Michael and I kind of rose up and like all of us were kind of coaching that class.
Yeah. Because we had 2 days a week then, because it was like bigger.
Yeah.
And so like we'd have your class that Andrew and I would coach.
Yeah.
And then we had the younger class that all 4 of us would coach.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And ran stuff through the gymnastics gym. So we were just employees of the gym.
Yeah. And we started doing math, and we were pissed about it because we're like, man, like the gym's making a killing off of this, and then like they were doing things like dropping coaches.
Yeah.
And so like if there wasn't a certain amount of kids, like only one coach could stay on, and so then like the math like got worse for us.
Yeah, exactly. So
and like, so we should
just go do our own thing.
So we had like these secret squirrel meetings of like we meet and like talk about like hypothetically someday we're gonna stick it to this gym and like like open up our own gym, like, you know. And then that happened immediately, like right away.
Yeah, well, because then Kelly, the owner of the gym, came to us and was like, hey, like gymnastics makes us more money. We can't really insure this. Like it costs us money to insure this. We're just going to drop the program because it's just like not financially feasible for us, which I get.
Yeah.
And then, but she did give us a caveat, which is like, if you guys want to, you guys can start your own thing and then just rent space from us.
Which we had already been talking about.
Yeah,
and
this
like,
has already been like in the works in our brains, but then her coming to us and like
with that idea,
info, kind of like...
Yeah, and I'm so grateful that she decided to just try to give it to us and not try to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Because she had originally thought about being a part of it, and then she thought that like, no, let's just have them run with it.
Yeah.
And I'm just grateful that she gave us the space and opportunity to open, because it was a really good, safe testing ground to
it was definitely like low risk,
because there was like all these things we didn't know about. Like we had to find insurance, we had to like file to have our own business, we had to set up like accounting software stuff, we had to figure out like how do we do it all, and we were just paying rent on a percentage of our income. And so that was like,
you're paying like 40%, I think. It was like 30 to 40%.
I think it was 16%.
Really?
I think it was like really good.
For
like it was an amazing
like,
deal, because I think she had done the numbers of like what like a profitable, like what like a successful business should like percentage wise like pay in rent, and that's like the number she gave us. I thought it was like
that low.
I think it was. It was a really good deal.
We only did that for like 8-9 months.
It was December until summer.
Yeah, because we did all summer camps.
Yeah, and then we knew that going into summer, at the end of summer, we would be gone, and like our time there was done because our class was too big. They wanted the space. We were only paying 16% in rent, so it wasn't like worth it for them. So we just like tried to save up as much money as we could. Yeah, we built a parkour park.
Yeah, we built like a little like scrappy parkour park in the back of the gym.
Yeah, so cleaning out the back of the gym was like one of the like big first moments, because like first time doing, I mean like I had done some construction kind of, but not really, and so we had like just the worst tools ever. I brought up like the trampoline from my house in Livingston, and like I had a gymnastics bar, like a pommel horse, and like just a bunch of weird equipment.
Just like repurposing it
like,
all.
Yeah, it's like we like built this weird parkour park with pallet blocks, but we had to clean it all out first, and there was like so much just random stuff, and there was a dumpster that was full of diapers. Like used baby diapers, and it was so bad, like it smelled so bad, and there were Charlie's diapers, like they were Kelly's kids, because Kelly used to live in the gym, and like so like obviously that's like where they had come from, and I guess like they just left it there, but it was like 4 years old, like because she was out of diapers like 4, because she was like 5.
This kid's out of diapers at this point.
And so it like it was so bad, and I don't know why we didn't like just like.
At that point, we should have been like, hey, Kelly, these diapers are disgusting. Please deal with this.
Yeah, or like just move it. I don't know, like, but we felt like we had to like...
clean it out. So for some reason, we cleaned out the dirty diapers.
It seemed like the best thing to do. I don't know why we did that.
To this day, I've never smelled anything more disgusting.
It was so bad.
Like, bar none. For sure, there's nothing more disgusting I've smelled in my life than that.
Yeah, so that was like a first, like, oh, that sucked. Like, we've been through some shit now.
Some literal shit immediately.
Yeah.
So, we did the parkour park for a little bit. And so after that was like 8 or 9 months, we saved as much money as we could, and then started looking for a space for us to move into.
Yeah, so 6 months in the gym, and then 3 months, June, July, August, was in
the back.
And then so it was outside stuff. We found a location, were able to move in, somehow never signed the lease.
Yeah. No, we never signed a lease.
We never signed a lease there, which I thought was wild.
In our old gym, like everyone who knows the old gym, we never signed on a line on any piece of paper.
Yeah.
To be there.
Yeah, and like we got there, and it was weird because like we got there, and like all of a sudden the city's on us. Like they're like, you guys have to hire an architect, you have to hire a contractor, and then and so like each of those steps were like $10,000-$20,000. We're like, we can't do that. And so we're in a building, have a fully built out gym, and then we're just sitting there like not able to run business, not able to open. And so we moved in, and then
because we were in there for like 6+ months.
It was February when we opened. Yeah. So it was like we were there for like
September to February,
and I was in Las Vegas coaching a gymnastics meet when we opened. So I wasn't even there when we like first originally opened, and we just decided to go for it. Yeah. Because like David Stark was gonna move into the other side of the building. Like they own Bitterroot Gymnastics, they moved over. They couldn't like pay rent on the full building.
So just like filling
So that space. Back bit of the building they wanted to get into, and they had already spent money on a change of use. And so we were going to help them occupy this other part, but then like the city was like, oh no, this other part's a different use. It's not the same thing, even though like Bitterroot Gymnastics had spent like tens and tens of thousands of dollars to like get it there. And so they decided to like cut a door in there and then go into the back spot. And by doing that, we were just assuming that like it was cool because like they were doing it too. Yeah. And that by that point we'd like spent all of our money. We had like no money left.
Yeah, we're out of money.
And like, and so we're like, cool, let's just open. Yeah. And then if we get told that we can't do this, then I guess we get told we can't do this. And then we open, and then like 6 months later got our business license in the mail. Like we're fine. It just somehow magically happened. Yeah.
For those first 6 months being like, any day the city can walk in here and just like close our business. Yeah. And that would like, there's nothing we can really do about it because we can't afford what they're asking to do.
It was just really unreasonable. Like it was like they needed so many things that like didn't really matter to an extent. Like I mean, I guess I get it, but like there was no easy way for them to like make it be manageable for us. Like it wasn't even like a clear answer of like, here's what you have to do. It was like, no, you have to hire a professional to hire another professional to then tell you what to do. And like all those steps just were really expensive. So yeah, I mean, it's like, I understand like the bureaucracy of like a local city to open up sucks. And like Missoula in particular is apparently more difficult than other cities, especially in Montana. And I'm sure it's like different everywhere you go, but if anybody's trying to open up a gym, just be ready for the bureaucracy of it all, because it's time consuming, it's expensive. We had to get like 4 permits and a letter from the mail to like just get our sign outside, like in this
the mayor building. Had to approve us having a sign. Like it's just like that seems like overkill to me. I get there's like baseline standards, like don't make something that's going to burn down and kill a bunch of people. Like there's public safety concerns, and then there's also just like being difficult to be difficult, and this is what that felt like.
It's like the overreach, which is like a bummer, like on its own part, because it like gives argument to people that like
feel like the government's too like invasive. Yeah, absolutely.
And like it's like, well, you're right because of these experiences that you've had, but also like you're wrong on like the grand scheme of the things. Yeah, set the phone. Yeah, it's. I mean, we should stop the time anyways, maybe, and like reset.
We're gonna take a quick ad break for this phone call.
And we're back.
All right, and maybe I'll throw in a funny like ad read in there that doesn't exist. We'll see.
Yeah, but, it was cold. I got it changed.
Yeah, so we just had to take a sales call, but we're back.
If you ever have a sales call of like, software demo, just always ask for a better deal, and they usually give it to you.
Because they always have setups and ways to make it happen.
Yeah, it's like you could give us more than 10% off.
Yes. Anyways, so
and they did.
Back to where we were. Eventually, we did get that space open. We just like flew under the radar for a few months, and we just got sent our business license. I remember that being just like some of the most stressful months of my life. Just between having the business felt like it could have been shut down at any moment in time, like trying to get all of our shit together to like make sure that it's going to like run correctly and not like fail within the first like 3 or 4 months, which it almost did. And like a couple months into having that space open, we like are just running out of money.
Yeah.
Like we're just like not meeting our overhead, but like the numbers are not making sense because like we're not having tons of people, but like there are clients, which is surprising because if you've ever seen the very, very, very first build out of our old gym, I wouldn't be sending my kids there at all. It was the jankiest piece of shit, and I wouldn't have sent my kids there. So like to have people bring their kids to us. Man, yeah, no, it's impressive that even happened.
Yeah, I mean, like, we had good coaching, but, like...
Yeah, good coaching, but it's like...
The facility was ghetto.
I mean, like, the oldest person involved in the business is at, like, what? You were 21?
Andrew was the oldest.
So he was 24, right? At the moment? Or is he... No, he's, like, a year older than you, right? Or...
No, he just had a birthday. I think he just turned 31. I'm 29, so, like...
Okay, so he was, like, 23, 24 when it opened.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 18 at this point. No, I'm not even 18 yet.
No,
I'm still 17.
We would, like, the joke is that me and Andrew would, like, always, like, give you guys crap about not having your permission slips to go on, like, business outings that we need to go on because you guys weren't able to consent for your own choices yet. Man. It was fun.
Yeah.
It wasn't that fun.
No, it wasn't that fun. But, yeah, I remember, like, my senior project was us, like, making the gym. Yeah. And so it was, like, then I finished high school and then we just did this. And that's all I've been doing. That's my entire like adult life is this gym. Yeah. It's wild. But so yeah, like our numbers weren't adding up. The kids in the gym, but nothing seemed to make sense. And then one day, like we're like so close to being out of money and being like, I don't know what we're gonna do next month. We're like, will we have to close, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe we'll have to like find some like money to loan out. Something has to change. And I was looking at our email one day because Square pings us every night being like, hey, you made this much money today, or we're going to send this much money to your bank account today. And it was one of those emails like, hey, you made like $260, blah, 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 whatever. And then at the bottom of the email, it's like your Square balance is $10,300. I was like, what does that mean? What do you mean our balance is like... And then originally I'm like, is that how much money we've ever made from Square? That like, is it just like some dumb running tally? Or it's like your balance, like that seems odd. So like I clicked it, and somewhere in the setting up of our Square account, we never approved the link to our bank account. I don't know if we like tried to set it up and it just like didn't do it, or if we just never set it up to like ping to our bank account. But Square just is piling up all of these. Every cent that we had like thrown through credit cards through Square just been piling up since we like started using it, and so we had impromptu savings account of $10,300, and that's basically what like saved us at that moment in time. And like we're like, cool, we're good. We don't have to. We're not super fucked. We're just like, I don't think I'll ever make a better mistake. Like it couldn't have.
Yeah, I remember being so conflicted of like my feelings when I found that out.
So I was like, this is so incredibly stupid, but also like financially really responsible.
Like I don't know if that's the right word. Like, yeah, it was like, because like we were talking like, man, if we only had an extra $10,000, and like the 10 grand like was the number that we were like trying to like manifest. Yeah. And then to have it happen like that way was like, I was stoked that we had it, but I was also like, what the hell, guys? Like, how did that happen? You said you were in charge of money. I can't trust you for anything. Yeah. So it was like a conflicted, like bunch of dinguses, but also I'm so glad that that we had that.
Like if we had that money the whole time, it's like it probably would have gotten spent on something.
I mean, it always costs however much money you have. It always takes however much time you have.
Exactly.
It's like the universal rules for running a business.
Yep.
Yeah. This is why you should pay yourself first.
Absolutely. But so we
should work on.
Oh, I know, dude. We need to do better at that. We were in that space from February of 2013, I believe. Because I graduated in 2012. So February 2013, and we left that space in December of 2016. So it was like 3.5 years that we were in the old gym.
It seems like it was longer, but
it really does,
right.
But
So during that time, we always knew we were going to be moving. It was like a stop along the way.
On our way in, it was understood that in 4 or 5 years, X amount of years, Bitter Gymnastics is going to need the space. We're just temporarily holding it, and then we're going to need to move out. Eventually.
Because they were growing and expanding. We were new. They needed help to be able to fit in that full building and afford it.
And we needed
opportunity. So like it really worked out well. So like I'm very grateful for Kelly Durbin for helping us start off with a really good business model that was low risk, and then a really nice sharing, and having a win-win for for Bitterroot Gymnastics. Like Dave Stark was really helpful in that whole Roots Gymnastics we definitely owe a great deal of gratitude towards them. So yeah, we didn't want to overstay our welcome by any means. Whenever they were ready to kind of leave, we knew that's what would happen. So we started to make headway. Is that the phone again? No. Okay. Anyways, we started to make headway. It's totally the phone. Whatever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I
think it was like around early 2016. We kind of got the memo that's like at the end of the year, you guys are gonna need to move out. So we're like, great.
Yeah, we're always holding in our head. We need look for a spot to move.
Exactly. So it's like throughout that first end of 2015, early 2016, we start looking for a space. We start following a bunch of leads, and then it comes to our attention that a couple other movement-minded businesses are all trying to move into this very large space, much larger than any one of us could use.
So separately, we were being sought after by two separate movement facilities. Mm-hmm. Those two separate movement facilities both realized that they were both wanting us to be a part of what they're doing, and so collectively, all three of us were trying to buy a building and move in together. And that seemed like a really good option because of similar ideas, sharing space. Missoula's a big movement hub, and more for adult movement hub, because there was other movement hubs that were all children, and we could have a bit of both, and it seemed really exciting and really promising, and everything was pointed at that we were the attractive business that they wanted to be a part of.
Yeah,
which we are.
Yeah.
And so we did that. We went down that rabbit hole. We looked at a bunch of different spots. We were trying to figure out how to get enough money for our share of our down payment. It ended up happening that one of them was going to be able to, one of them came into a bunch of money and was able to acquire that building on their own, and they were going to rent to us to help. We were going to help them pay off their mortgage with an option of potentially renting to own, which also sounded really appealing, because in Missoula, it's low income level, high rent level, especially for commercial buildings.
Yeah.
And so it's the worst of both worlds, to where you have a lot of people that can't afford a high premium option in the poorer area of town, which is I like this area of town more than other areas of town. But the demographic of people that we're serving can't afford to pay a lot, yet our rent is super, super high. Yeah. And so it seemed like I would rather be paying into a mortgage, since we're spending so much money a month on rent and we're going to be here for the long term. Let's just get into a spot, because tearing down that gym, or just the thought of tearing down the gym, we knew was going to be hard. Yeah. Actually tearing it down was way harder than I thought it was going to be. So anyways, shocker, we didn't move into that spot.
Yeah. We kind of lost communication with them for a while, and then a couple months later they came back to us and basically were like, hey, there's a CrossFit gym that's already in this building. We don't really feel like kicking them out.
So they had bought into a building that had a CrossFit gym, and the idea was that CrossFit gym was either going to downsize and share or leave, and we would take in over that spot because we have to have high ceilings, and they don't. That's another thing with a parkour gym. There's a ton of buildings that have 16-foot ceilings. There's not a lot of buildings that have a 20-foot ceiling, and that's the minimum that we really want to design around. So we were working on this for a long time. We let Dave Stark know that we're leaving. We're going to leave at this time. He's like, cool, I'm going to buy equipment. I'm going to do all the things I need to do so that over Christmas break, I can move in after you guys move out. We're like, sweet, this is happening.
So we're all kind of committed to this.
This is what we've all talked about. And then We're like, sweet, all right, cool. It was over the summer. Like I was sending them emails all the time of like, hey, I know like I want to meet more. Let's like plan this out. Like I want input on like, because they're spending money to like divvy up this building.
Designed well so we can all fit in it well.
Yeah, we're like, hey, can we have some input on like where the bathrooms are or like what type of toilets you put in? I don't want any small bullet toilet thing. You know, like this, all the things of like, wow, we get one shot to like make it the way that we want it to work for us. I want input on how that's going to happen. Didn't hear much back. More emails. Didn't hear like much back. And I'm like, I'm going to Southeast Asia, like, and I'm gonna be gone. So I'm like trying to like, before I go, it'd be sweet to talk to you guys, and then nothing. And so I'm midway through my trip in Asia, in Cambodia, for the first time, pop on Wi-Fi, see an email, and it's like, hey, we've been meaning to talk to you, but we didn't know how to say it. We're gonna go a different direction. The CrossFit gym not only wants to stay, but they want to double their size. There's not gonna be room for you.
Yeah.
And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, we spent like years working on this deal, and like we didn't know where else we're gonna go. We already have to leave.
We're like 6 months out from being out of our space.
6 months is generous, but like it was like, yeah, I guess about 6 months.
Like, let's say, I think it was like June when that happened.
Yes, it was June.
And then like the
right.
year.
Yeah.
So then, you know, basically the rest of 2016, we're just like looking around trying to find stuff. Like,
just
it was a panicky time.
Like,
get a whole lot of anything together, and so we ended up having to close that gym down, tear it down, and put everything that we owned into storage, and just like be closed.
So yeah, I'm like, we had exhausted all options. Like we found one building that we loved, and it was $14,000 a month.
Yeah.
And we're like, I mean, but it's so cool. Like, what could we do to like make this work? Like, we talked to like other businesses about like
sublet it, like cut the space up until we can take the whole thing. Like, what creative solution can we come up with to make this work?
Yeah.
And it just like never made sense.
Yeah. And so the location that we're currently at wasn't on the market when we closed, and we decided just to not screw over Dave Stark, let him move in, let's move out. It was so unknown if we were moving or not moving, and like it was just a big unknown. And so Kent was even out of town like when we moved and so it was me and Susie mainly, and like we had like Mick was there for a little bit, some other people were there for a tiny bit, but like primarily it was Susie and I tearing down the thing.
Mind you, it's the middle of winter.
It's so Christmas Day we have like our Christmas thing at the gym. The next day we start tearing down, and like we had like Paulie Donaldson helped us build it, the first generation of it, and so we, you know, classic carpenter, use a nail gun on things. So that's how you build. It's not how you build if you want to tear things apart.
Yeah.
And so like we overbuilt everything and used nails for most of the first generation of building. The second and third generation of building was screws. We got smarter as we did it, but like it was so hard, and it was so snowy. We had a foam pit. We had like all these things, and like not only do we have to take it out, load it into a truck, drive the truck with like no snow tires, it's a U-Haul, like to storage, unload storage, pack storage in like a Tetris like strategic way, drive all the way back. It's like we did that from Christmas, and then I remember really the goal. It was like New Year's Eve night, and I was like, we have to have everything out of the door by the time New Year's hits. Like I want this gone. And so we're like slamming as hard as we possibly can. I had some friends from Livingston drive up to come like help me, and like we're just going to town, like demolishing everything, pulling nails, and like we moved like the final big heavy wall outside into the snow as like the fireworks are going off, and I was like, oh, we didn't like make it. So we took like a little break and then like regrouped, and just immediately stepped on a nail. Like it was just like it was so hard. Yeah.
The bottom of the bottom of the pit, Billy the Whale.
Like it wasn't the lowest moment that we had, but it was like the onset of like low moments.
It was kind of like it was definitely a bit of like a precursor of like it's getting bad and it's probably just gonna get worse from here. And
so we managed to get out like New Year's Day. I spent most of the day sweeping up, like doing the final, like we moved the refrigerator, we moved like the final things. Like I had a bedroom at that gym. I lived in that gym for a bit of time.
Yeah.
And like So we did it. We got everything outside. And then we still had to like go back and then like tear things apart outside in the cold and like slowly do dump runs to like dump it or take it to storage or remember like when we had to like load the foam pit and unload it and then load it and then unload it because we originally brought the foam pit or like half of it was like in storage, half of it was like outside, and then we decided that we just didn't want it, so we had like we there was something to where we like had to move it back from storage to the place.
So we got a dumpster to throw a bunch of stuff in the back of the gym. And we're like, we don't want the foam anymore. So we had to, not only are we taking it to storage, we can now reclaim it from storage, bring it back to the gym to put it in the dumpster to get rid of it.
So that was the lowest moment ever because we spent like $600 to have like a dumpster dropped. And it wasn't that big. And so we were like, we have this amount of material. We have to make it fit in this box.
Yeah, and it's just...
And so like we had to get really Tetrisy with it. Mm-hmm. And so we had the foam bags in there. We decided to, so we took the foam from the storage to the gym, from the gym into the dumpster, and then realized that we couldn't quite fit it all. So we untook it from the dumpster and untook it a lot. It's like we repacked that thing like a bunch of times to really make it like lay the boards flat.
As like efficient as possible using the space.
And it sucked because like it was summer by that point, I think. It was hot out, right?
Yeah, I think.
And so like we had like frozen our fingers off, like not like like finally moved everything. Like it was a slow process of like slowly taking apart these walls and breaking them down and then slowly disposing of them. And we tried to do one last push because it was hard to borrow a trailer, drive it, and so like we're like let's just fit it all into this dumpster. And so we decide that we need more time with the dumpster. And it's like the last day.
It's a Sunday night.
It's a Sunday night. The dumpster's going to get picked up.
On Monday.
And so I was like, you know what? Let's just spend an extra whatever it costs to have it be one more day. We had unpacked half of the, like a quarter of it maybe.
Yeah.
To like do a better job the next day. We were burnt. Like, let's just be done with this. So I left a voicemail for the dumpster people to not pick it up, that I want it for another day. I called them again in the morning, like 6 in the morning, like early, because I know that those guys do stuff early, and they had already picked up the thing. And I was like,
so it's like,
you didn't see that it was halfway empty?
Yeah, it's like half empty, open, stuff's still everywhere on the ground.
And they had taken the dumpster, and like I like legit cried, and like I was like that was like the lowest breaking point of like, now I have to go get a trailer and like move things and do this again, and like it was a low moment.
And this is like 6 months into not having a gym. Like we're not making money anymore.
Like we're trying to coach classes outside.
We're looking
like
for
after the gym was torn down, I had a hard time walking upstairs. Like I was injured from like the physical toll it took to tear apart that whole gym in the cold and like get it out. Like it took everything.
Yeah.
And so and then like week after week, the prospects of a gym keeps getting dimmer and dimmer. Mm-hmm. We're trying to like write up. We're like writing up speeches and like we're talking to like live investor events.
Find, like grants or whatever. Like anything we can do. Like find some money to convince someone to like give us a space.
Because we were like, we need to buy our next gym. I will not build and tear down another gym that I'm renting. Because this is too hard. And so we're like, we have a business model that works. We have a business that empowers youth. Like, we can get a loan. We can be spending less amount a month on mortgage than on rent. And like, somebody's got to see the vision. People are like, yes, people will see this vision. You will for sure get investors who are like, cool, talk to us more. What do we need to do? And so we're like by day, we're drawing up plans on like what we could do for the gym build. We are tearing apart walls and trying to take them in dump runs to get them out. And we're like getting phone calls from people being like, hey, are you guys open yet? Hey, is this happening yet? And we're like, we're working on it. I'm sorry. Like I'm trying my hardest.
Because I remember originally we're like, I think at the time right about when we closed, we had like some of a prospect for another space. And we'll be open in March. Yeah. To everyone. And everyone's like, okay, 3 months. Like that sucks. But
And then that building fell through for some reason.
Yeah, it was like pretty immediately. Like that building fell through. And so like, like June, July rolls around. I was like, hey, like what's going on?
Oh, right. We're going to buy the soccer business. Yeah.
So we were going to buy a soccer gym. That didn't end up happening.
And they were like, because like that was like the cheapest option because it cost so much money to get a building to be the type of use you need it to be. You have to put an air exchange, like all these things. It takes forever.
Buy a business.
And so this business was operating in a warehouse that they've already done all that. And so if we just bought the soccer business and then sold all the assets, we would be able to have it and like just kill soccer in Missoula.
Yeah.
Who cares? People care.
In hindsight,
we don't
probably
care.
would have gotten a lot of bad will with the community. But it's like we had
talked about doing both. Like
any option that will make it happen. Like it's pretty desperate at this point.
Yeah, grasping for like all possible things. Like how could we make this like thing work? I forgot about the soccer thing.
Yeah, that was crazy. But then eventually, since it took so long, the building that we're in right now went up on the market.
Yeah.
And we started kind of pursuing that.
Yeah.
And it's a really good location. And I think we really like fell in love with like where it is in town.
Yeah.
I think it's a really good spot. It's like double the price per month of what our old location was. So like, yes, we have a lot more overhead now, but it kind of all made sense when this like place popped up. It's like this is gonna like
it was pretty it was a pretty immediate moment that we both felt and we both like saw each other see.
Yeah, it's like
because like we had gone like the classic move is like your agent calls you go tour a building and you're like, oh, this won't work for all these reasons, and then this one we're like
it's like you walk in the space and you already start like seeing the gym, like what the potentials are and like what it can turn into, and like you start kind of like running with that and you're like, oh, this has potential, like this could actually work. And like both of us are doing that, like, okay, like we need to pursue this space and make it happen. And so we finally got the keys on November 1st of 2017.
So there was a whole lot that happened between
that's given a lot, but
there and then, and like it always takes time with the city. And it was it all worked out. Like having an agent is humongous. It's huge. It's like wouldn't have happened without that. But even still, like there was all this stuff that happened, and then all of a sudden it was like, okay, like we had put in an offer to, I think, to open up like in September, like when school happened. Because that was like the goal. Mm-hmm. And then like never heard back. Kind of poked them a few times and like nothing was really solid. And like the day before, they're like, oh yeah, we could totally do this. And we're like no, I mean, it doesn't work like that. Like you have to like, I'm like, cool, but we can't move in tomorrow. Like we're in Colorado, we're at Tit Jam, right?
Super low, like low rent, but it's like there's other businesses that could open in a week. Like, okay, like take like a coffee shop. Like as long as you have plumbing and you have the equipment, you plug in the equipment, you hook it up, get the water running, have tables, make coffee, and you did it.
Yeah, and like there's like all like the things you have to be approved by, right? But
it's like to actually put the fucking coffee maker up and then make coffee doesn't take a month. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Building a whole park or gym, you can't just like order one and have it show up.
No, it's like custom, and like also like everything's like we take gym design seriously.
Yeah.
And like we need the gym to be good, and you can't come up with good ideas like right away. And every building's so unique, and like there's so many things you have to think of, like where the beams, where the people come in. Like there's like so much that goes into designing the gym.
Not just the physical structures, but the gym, how it flows.
Yeah.
The actual design of the business, because the gym is the business.
Yeah. But like, so it's like cool, they let us do it, but then it's like, well, we like, it's like, no, it takes a while to go in there and have the city vet it for what they need you to do to get the change of use. And so like, that's a whole like process. And then you have to have like, we had to put drywall up, we had to put a new door, and we had to bring an air exchange ventilation system. We had to do all these things, and those things all like take time. And so I remember it being like a weird moment of like, how dare you not like move in like right now? We're also like, bro, it's not how the world works. Like we need to get this vetted out. Yeah. Like you should have got tell us last month that we could have moved in.
Yeah, we're
not like
so
you can
hard.
Move in tomorrow.
Yeah, we're trying so hard the whole time to like convince them that we need as much time as possible.
Yeah.
Like it's like, we need as many days as you can give us to get in here.
And like it was even, I mean like, and this isn't anything bad to anybody that like is here, because like we're grateful, we're thankful. Oh yeah. It's all awesome. This is just our story. Yeah. And like this is how it happened, right?
So it's like,
and so.
But I remember. So we finally got the key and we started building. And so we had at that point announced that we're going to open on December 1st.
Yeah.
We had the key on November 1st. So we have like your 30 days to make it happen. And it was like November 23rd or something, like it was around there. Like, we had like a week left. And like, we're starting to get close. And I remember one day in particular, one of the people that we're running from came in and like just came up to one of us and was like, hey, so this is taking a lot longer than I thought it was going to. Like, that's like, you should basically like insinuate that we should have like asked for more time.
Those were the actual words. Like,
yes.
if I had known it would take this long, I would have given you guys more time.
And it's like, we had spent like 3 full months being like, can we please get in the building right now?
Even and we were asking like, can we get in and clean it?
Yeah.
Can we get in and like vacuum the floor so that when we move in, it's like, we don't have to spend time doing that.
Yeah.
And then like none of those things happened. Like, we couldn't even like come in. We were looking through the window at like the measurements that we had.
Trying to like design it.
Like trying to design it because like we had like taken measurements really quickly, and we're poking through like, is this gonna work? Do we think there's enough room between here and there? And like, that's not how you design a gym. You design a gym by being in there. We're like, well, what if we what if we talk them into letting us clean it? Yeah. And by cleaning it, we'll have time in there, and we'll see if what we've designed will like work.
But no, they told us that we'd clean it, that they would clean it, and then we got on there on the first, and it was not clean.
And the door like would be ready, and there's still
nothing's ready. Which I get, like everything takes longer, but like just frustrating at that point in time. Like we're getting up into the point of actually opening. We're just busting every day, like, day up, day down, like as long as we can, just to like get this initial build done, so we can open on the first. Start making money again.
And so it was 11 months from when we closed to when we reopened. So in that 11 months, we had to tear apart all of our old structures and then get rid of that material, move good material over to storage. And then the best part of it is we had to move storage from one side of the building to the other side of the building.
So that like in itself took us like 3 days. Like, we had to take 3 days just to move the stuff that we were storing to keep storing it.
Until like the other side of the warehouse, which wasn't easy. And so it was like doing like loads via like, picking it up, moving it, putting it on like the pallet jack.
Truck or like whatever.
Just like, that was great. And then the first day that we moved into the gym, it was snowing.
Yeah.
Which is fun. And I was also working.
Yeah.
And so the first day that we opened in our old gym, I was working. Then the second time that we reopened in this, or that we were like coming in for the first day, I had to be working a show. And I remember being like, I've worked my ass off. And I'm now not able to even be there on the first day that we're like doing this full thing. And that was like one of the steps towards me quitting that job. And so we're building, right? We're like loading everything. The first week was just get everything in the gym, basically. Mm-hmm. And that took a lot because like all your stuff inside of a box, driven across town, unloaded. Then you just repeat that process over and over and over again. Tedious. And it's snowing and then some of the materials still have to be broken apart and unscrewed. And so it's like, it's not like you get to build a gym with brand new material. It's you're deconstructing, trying to square up a cut, seeing what wood you have available, seeing what you can kind of like hodgepodge together. And so that just takes extra time. Yep. And it was hard, and it was just Kent and I. And during all of that, they were still like doing work in here to get it ready for us to be here. And so they're like cutting into the concrete to like make a new door and like spewing dust over like all of our... it was so bad. And it was so cold. Like there was no heat. Yep. It was like... It was brutal.
But like, as life goes, it's going to take exactly the amount of time you have to make it happen.
It took exactly as much time. Because like we had people coming in the door and I was still running something through a table saw. Yeah. And vacuuming.
like it's... Because we had... Our opening event was at like... I'm pretty sure it was 6 o'clock p.m. on the 1st. And it's 5:45 and I'm still cutting flooring.
It's a Friday.
Yeah. I'm still cutting flooring to like fit in around our desk as people are walking in the gym. And they're like, oh, you guys are just finishing up. It's like, we're still literally working to get the gym done for the next, 15 minutes so people can, try in the gym for the first time.
Yeah. And it was that, I think, my favorite moment in that whole thing was, my dad had come up to help build, I think he stayed after Thanksgiving. So he came up for Thanksgiving, and then he stayed to help kind of finish it through. Mm-hmm. And then Steven and Sam and Christine all came in. And that was, like, oh shit, it's happening.
Yeah, it's kind of like this like little like second wind of just like this like push. Everyone's like kind of rallying, and we're like, oh, it is gonna happen. We are gonna finish. We're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
And just sort of like push to.
And so like we worked that last night up until like 3 or 4 in the morning, and then like I got back to the gym like 7 in the morning and just worked all the way straight. And it was, I remember we had like engineers in here. We had the air exchange system. I almost flipped out at them and like told them to like take it back.
Yeah.
Like, it was a whole thing. I had, like, called my engineer. I'm like, this is the shittiest, like, whatever.
They did such a bad job. Yeah, like all these things.
Because, yeah, it was so many things. And, like, I remember that was happening. The electrician was here. The lights were finishing. And, like, there was still stuff everywhere. There was, like, paint everywhere. There was sawdust
just
everywhere.
Pure chaos.
There was pure chaos. And, like, I was like, can't you guys tell that I'm going to be throwing a party here in 3 hours? They're like, haha.
And you're like, no, we aren't.
No, but for real, like, it's happening.
Yeah.
And it happened. And, like, there's, like, a haze of sawdust in the air.
But, like, there's, like, 50-some people training in the gym.
It was epic. It was so
huge.
cool how it all came together. And, like, people, like, friends were there. And, like, it all happened.
Yeah.
And I remember just being... There are so many moments where it was just like on the verge of tears. I was like, wow. Like
this actually happened.
This actually happened.
Dude, that whole year, like all of 2017 was just, the longer things went on, the more that I was getting convinced that it probably was never going to happen.
Yeah.
And like, it was just so hard and it felt like so like insurmountable.
And it was like the amount of things we had done and the amount of like no's that we got and the amount of, like we spent so much effort and time on buildings that never like happened.
Yeah.
And like
so like
it was just real hard to think that something that we would do would work.
Yeah. But then it's like that first day of like finally being like reopened, it was just like I don't know. That day was special for sure.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Yeah, I remember like the closing like night, like when the party was over and the after party began and like we were like just like thanks everyone for showing up and like the amount of like energy and like enthusiasm that the people like like responded to that night was really powerful.
Like, without that community, there's no reason for us to do it.
Yeah.
You know, like I would never want to put that work in if there's not a community around to like help support it essentially. So it's like having everyone come out and like show that they care and whatnot, or like, it means the world to us.
Absolutely. I mean, like Max Nordquist blowing my phone up every week throughout the whole 11 months that we were closed, and just like the final party at the gym and just like at the old gym, like looking around at all the kids in the community like that were there and being like, yeah, it is worth it. Like we, like
I mean, like even like we've, as of this coming out, it's 2 years in this space. 8 years of doing the gym, and it's like if that community disappears, I don't care to do it anymore.
No.
There's
no that's reason. The reason to do it all.
Yeah, totally.
It's like the main thing that like you can't deny, right? It's like those kids in the gym that are like having a different experience because this gym exists is pretty hits you deep.
Yeah, it's really
it
cool.
matters, Yeah. And here we are, almost 2 years in. This will come out on our 8th birthday.
Mm-hmm. Which is crazy. Like, we're much closer to 10 than we're like, 5 at this point. Like, we're creeping up on 10 years as a business.
Yeah.
Which is wild. I always remember, like, being, like, 16, 17, 18, being like, what's my life gonna be like in, like, 7, 8, 10 years, whatever. It's crazy to be at this moment now and being like, this is what it's like, and like knowing. Yeah, it's interesting, but yeah, I mean, like, I don't know if there's any like lesson, but I think the lesson to ourselves is that, we've made it work this far, and even though it doesn't feel like it, I feel like we're both at kind of a low spot.
Yeah.
Even though it doesn't feel like it's working, it's like we've made it work before, so it's like...
Yeah, and like just like... Man, you learn things.
Yeah.
Like, you're always learning something, and when things aren't working, you're really learning things.
Oh, yeah.
And so, like, we learned a lot during this whole process. We're now way more positioned than ever to be able to know, see... like, take advantage of or like, jump on an opportunity, critique things. We know it's important, and I'm excited to see what more time we'll do.
Yeah.
To our gym, to our business, to our brand, to the whole movement.
In the grand scheme of things, like, our business isn't so different as it was like a few years ago. Like, it's like there's a gym, people come to the gym, they learn parkour. It feels a lot different, but I feel like the next few years it's going to like kind of transform exactly what we've been doing. I feel like the company's going to be unrecognizable as to like its current state in like a few years, where it's like this is like fairly recognizable to what it was 4 years ago. It's just like it's a different product, obviously, but it's definitely similar. But I think it's going to kind of completely overhaul in the next few years, and like I think that's what's really exciting is that the potential is very, very high.
Mm-hmm. And like we've been feeling that coming for a bit.
Yeah.
And I'm ready for it. Like the bell curve is happening.
Mm-hmm.
It's starting to accelerate, and pretty soon we're going to be shooting upwards. And just have to stay focused on making sure that we're okay along the way. We've definitely both burnt ourselves out a while ago and then had no choice but to keep treading water.
Yep. And that's kind of where we're at this very moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's kind of the whole story.
Damn, there's a bunch of stuff we didn't talk about, but...
absolutely. You can't pack 8 years of life into an hour, but...
Yeah. We have a lot of good footage, and I really am optimistic that we'll make how to build a parkour gym volume 2 and volume 3. Because there's a lot that's been captured, and like it just...
I mean, there's so many more stories to tell in parkour
that
I really want to see happen.
Yeah.
I think that's a really cool like avenue to pursue. But yeah, just excited for more things. Maybe we can kind of wrap that up there, probably.
Probably, yeah.
Well,
that's our first conversation recorded about the history of Unparalleled movement from 2011 to now.
Yeah.
And
even dating before.
Yeah.
Basically from 2008 till now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
and there's a ton we didn't talk about, but that's fine. We can. I'm curious to know like how people think of this format. I mean, like we both have like different visions of what a podcast would eventually like look like.
Yeah.
But the more you all comment, subscribe, and
let us know what you think. If this is enjoyable, I feel like just I don't know. I enjoy making stuff like this. So if you enjoy it, if you have feedback, please let us know. But if you listen to all the way through, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So and we'll catch you guys next time. Peace.